All right, we're back with another edition of Live from Redhook here at the Function House. And tonight, our guest DJ for this Tuesday evening is DJ D-Star. Welcome, man.
Thank you for having me.
What's up, man? Long overdue.
My man.
You're supposed to be on the show last season.
I don't remember that. What's up, man? It's happy. I'm happy to be here, and it's awesome that you guys do this whole thing here.
Thank you,
it's
man.
It's cool. Like, even my friend from Chicago who's here right now, he was like, there's nothing like this in our city. So it's cool that we have a platform.
Maybe we should talk before he leaves.
Yeah, Function House,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Function House Chicago. I like that. I'm down for that.
So talk to us, man. How did you get into this game?
I feel like there's some people that, like, we have, like, you know, you just kind of stumble in it, and I just felt a calling to do music my whole life. It's probably my father's fault. I started playing drums when I was a kid, and then eventually moved on to realizing that, like, I listen to, like, a lot more hip-hop than, like, a drummer probably normally would. So I used to be in bands and stuff like that when I was a kid, and then I realized, like, I need to do something. So I downloaded Fruity Loops, and I tried, like, the crack copy of Fruity Loops thing that everybody tries when they're in, like, 10th grade. Terrible. Did not go well. I made a beat that sounded like Still Dre if it was, like, made by, like, a 5-year-old.
How old were you when you started messing around with this?
Well, the turntables, then I realized it wasn't going to be Eminem either. I didn't try to rap. I just knew that was, like, an out. So then from there I moved to DJing because I figured that was, like, the trifecta of, like, trying to do something with music. So I got turntables when I was, I want to say 18, 17 or 18. That's when I switched. I stopped playing the drums, and then I started DJing. It was either 18 or 19, somewhere like that. And then practiced like crazy for like a year, like 8 months by myself for like 3-4 months. And I met a friend who DJ'd, like, he was like doing like the tea nights like in our area. And I got up with him, and that like changed my whole life because I walked into his house and his bedroom was literally 4 turntables. Do you remember the chrome covers for the 1200s?
Yeah,
He had them all chromed out with like the matching Vestex mixer.
What was his name? What was his
DJ Heat. He's a radio DJ now in Portland. So I walked in, I saw this along with like 30 crates of records, and I was like, this is where I'm going. I didn't leave his house after that for 3 days.
So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo,
like
okay.
upstate, yeah. Not the most flattering city, but we have a little thing going on. It's a very sports town, though.
Patriots fan.
I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not a sports guy. But if I was going to root for anybody, it'd have to be the Bills, just because, you know, if I didn't say that on this live stream, I would go back home and my house would be burned down.
Well, that's Buffalo, man.
Yeah, they're hardcore, man. People die at the Bills games.
Bills, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. My father being one of them.
So Buffalo is where you started like playing gigs?
Yeah, I started DJing in Buffalo. So I started following like DJ Heat or whatever, and we like learned together. We kind of like went through the process together, like down to like going down to the city and like handing out mixtapes on like this strip called Chippewa, where they like have all the clubs. So I'd walk by, hand out mixtapes, and like hope to get a call back. And eventually one day we got calls back, and we started working downtown together. We were 19, and I started working. My first real downtown gig was actually a fill-in gig. Well, I started my own party at first because we didn't get calls back right away. So I started my own party in the meantime, and like it was kind of like when everybody was starting to do mashups. So I made like a mashup kind of party, like where it was like we were just gonna play everything, which now is called open format apparently. I used to think it was just DJing, but now it's open format DJing. So we'd just do a party, we'd play 80s, everything, you know, and we did really well. We got like 300-400 people out the first couple events. On average, I had a partner that was just like a random kid I worked with that was like down to put the money up. And then I started DJing by filling in for this kid at this little spot called Prespa, and that's where I like got my first like club experience. But it was like an ultra lounge.
Yep.
It wasn't like a club. But
So how is like the party scene in Buffalo, or at least when you were doing it now?
It's not really existent anymore because the city doesn't really like what's going on. Like the streets got too crazy. And like there was too many shootings, too many like there was just problems in the city. It's a typical like I don't know. It's just like your typical small city. Like it has a lot of issues with like trying to keep everything under control. So a lot of the clubs are closed. I did one Thanksgiving Eve. It's called Venue, and that was like basically I used to have a residency at that club, and that looks like a club out of Vegas. It's crazy, but it's the only nightclub in like Buffalo, New York now, which is crazy.
So you still go back up there?
To see my family, and then if I get a booking out of it, I'll go and I'll spend time with my family because. That was like a thing this year is like go home more often because I didn't get a chance to in the last.
It's always
years.
nice.
So yeah, and traveling has been really tough on me too.
So when was it when you moved to New York?
4 years ago now, about I would say. So it's but I've been here a lot, and I'd like rented a room from like a friend, so I'd be here all the time. I just didn't live here. But like after I was finished with like a couple things back home, it was just like there's no reason for me to stay it got kind of depressing being in Buffalo too, because the club scene was not really that crazy, and I'd be traveling, playing all these crazy venues, and then I'd go home to like, like it was more of like a bar scene, So I got sick of it after a while.
So you were part of this group, Solid Disco,
Yeah.
and that's when you were traveling and.
Yeah, that would be like what most people I think know me for now.
Yeah.
It was a pretty interesting experience in my life. It's not over yet for sure, but like we're not as active as we once were, unfortunately, which I miss it, but at the same time I'm like happier now because like I feel like a lot of pressure is off of me. Whereas like back then I had to make so much content, so much music. I lived in the studio, man. I still do, but like I lived in the studio, like no joke. Like, and it was just it kind of got the fun got sucked out of it at times because we would just travel so much that
It was like studio road.
Yeah, I didn't have a life.
Yeah.
I had no personal life, man.
And what type of music were you making when you were in that duo?
It was all house music, mostly like I would say like new disco would be like more like we'd play like. I never really wanted to be branded as like a disco house or new disco house thing, but it was more about house in general. But it was always the disco flair. It actually started because my friend Matt from Buffalo was the only other DJ that really like for me had good taste, and like we saw eye to eye. I don't want to say we're the only people who had good taste, but like we saw eye to eye taste wise, and like we liked a lot of the same weird house music that like it's required like a certain DJ to like. So once we did that, we got up a couple times, we made some records, and then it just kind of started becoming a thing. I didn't think it was gonna be as serious as it was, but like we started making music, and then like we started getting booked. We did like WMC. We had like 5 shows. The first Miami we went, and it was like, this is like for real.
Yeah, no, it was popping for a minute. Like it was really.
Thanks.
I remember like Solid Disco was everywhere, all main
Appreciate
stages.
that.
It was really cool.
Yeah, we played a lot of festivals. We did a lot of crazy stuff, man. It was like, I took DJing as far as you could take it, in my opinion, without like, I don't know. I took it further than I ever thought I'd make it. When I started making music, it was like, let's make music for like these festivals. And like we were thinking about the little bars we were playing back home, and we were like, should this breakdown be this crazy? Should we do that? And I was always like, nah, let's just pretend we're making this. We're at Ultra. And then like fast forward, and I was like, we played Ultra. And it was like, that's crazy. Like, it's attainable though. Like that's the thing that's like crazy about like this industry is like, I grew up thinking it was impossible, and then I just kept going, and then I realized this shit is very attainable. It's just a matter of having no life and being in the studio.
Was there like 1 or 2 records when you guys were doing Solid Disco that you felt really put you guys over the top?
Top of the World was the first one that gave us like that took us from like being like SoundCloud producers to like being like house, like appreciating like the house like music scene. I felt, and after that we were starting to like we like filled out Cielo. Like that's when we basically sold out Cielo that night. Like a couple months, I think it was shortly after that release, and that was like the first record too. We were playing it on tour, and people were hitting us like, "What is that?" Like, and that's when I felt we had something kind of getting there.
And you were getting support from all the main stage DJs.
We were and we weren't. Like we would get, because EDM was in like a weird place, and it was like everybody was like OD, like festival, like fists up, and I never really wanted to make music like that. Like I made sort of electro stuff like when I was younger, like just trying to find my way. But we never really got played. Like Hardwell wasn't gonna play our shit at like 12:30 in the morning at Ultra ever, But we started getting love on the podcasts and like started.
Now, why was it that Hardwell wasn't going to be playing your stuff?
Because we didn't make music like that. Like at the time, like everybody was like on that like extreme fists up, like you know what I mean. It
Taking
was
like one key.
It was like Show
and
Tech Booyah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
where that was like a super hard, and that's cool too. But
Yeah.
like, I just I guess maybe I felt that wasn't really for me, like necessarily. And the group was like a homage to my favorite like house music, because I liked Axwell before he got mainstream. I like Armin van Helden, like in that era of like the era of like funk phenomenon. Even I Want Your Soul, even like you don't know me. So we'd be the only DJs on the road still playing those records to like young kids, because we'd still play edits, or we'd play, we were still playing Bucketheads like on the road. And like I know other DJs are doing that, but like we were in this weird in between of like the mainstream and the not mainstream. And like that's what like I always want to be like in that pocket where people didn't really know where to, like, you couldn't call us a sellout, but you couldn't really like pin us as an underground artist either,
So playing all these main stages and traveling all over the world with Solid Disco, what exactly happened?
We kind of lost traction for a few reasons, and this is a little tough to talk about because I never talk about it even with my friends. But I'm gonna be real, because I want to be like, I think of getting hit. I get hit all the time, still to the day, and it's a combination of like management in the industry. I started to hate it, and I started to get sick of like the way things were panning out. Like I felt that like I could do better in life if I did something. If I worked as hard as I did at that group, I felt that I should have been a lot more successful outside of music. Like I felt like I was working 3 times as hard to get a third of like what I was earning in music, and I felt like it was killing me inside. I loved it, but like in traveling for music, like there's no way in how like I could sit up here and bitch to a bunch of DJs that like all of my life sucked. Like I traveled and I played music to all these people. That's the fun part. Like that's the part, like getting there sucks, like getting like the lifestyle sucks. You don't see your family, you don't see your friends. Goodbye, forget about having a girlfriend. That's like not even like
A lot of alcohol.
that's not even, I don't drink, but yeah, like it gets in, everybody wants to party. Like it's nonstop. And I love DJing. Like I will never get sick. Out of everybody I know, I'm still excited to DJ every time. You know, I love it. You know, and I know Rick's the same way. Rick Wonder is always, he's excited to DJ as I am. Like we still kids, like when we get behind the turntables, like it's exciting. Even if it's a small shit event, you know, like I'm still excited. But the industry changes that.
Politics.
It's the politics. And it's like when you're that poppin', really, you have that kind of traction, every step is judged on like a level of like you go on the YouTube comments, you put one record out people don't like, your Instagram's flooded with bullshit. You know, like anything and everything. It just, and it's, it
Well,
gets
sometimes you
it gets
just can't.
exhausting.
Sometimes you just can't read into that stuff.
You
too.
can't read into it, but like at the same time,
that's you know, you'll get caught up in just reading negativity.
I don't. It's not
And
that
it's
we
just
are
like-
getting a lot of negativity, but like your own camp is telling you, like, yo, this record's not the right time. This isn't. You can't. We had so many good records that we never put out. We had like a collaboration with Kaiser before she blew up, and that shit was crazy, man. Like that shit should have been on the radio. And it was, then Hideaway came out, and it's like now we can't clear the vocal. And like she was saying, she didn't want to work with anybody. Like they just want to do like a solo album, whatever. So you work all the time making all this music that you're really proud of, and sometimes you just can't show it anywhere. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. It just like kind of burned me out on that, I guess.
So where were you living when this was all going on? Were you in New York already?
Half in Buffalo. I moved to New York like in the middle of all this, mainly because I wanted access to more songwriters and access to more musicians, and I felt that the energy of the city was going to help me create a lot more, which was true. Because when I moved down here, I met like so many people that were down to collaborate, and like even if it was just like, yo, I want a bass guitarist from like a cool band, like I ended up becoming really close to my friend Alex, and he's like from the band Cobra Starship, so like he would like write with me all the time. We'd write music together, some for his project, some for my project. Like it was just being around those people. Whereas in Buffalo, it was me and Matt, and like we had this crazy like bunkered out studio, and it was just us.
So was the Solid Disco sort of retirement? Was it mutual? Like Matt felt the same way?
I don't think. I know, like, we haven't even had the conversation, which is crazy, but, like, I feel that me and Matt both kind of see eye to eye where it's like, I want to make music, I want to keep going, and we still do make. We just dropped the record, like, in November on Armada, so it's not like where it's done. Like, it's really, it still has a future. We just kind of, like, make music. It's not like it was before where it's like we are living, eating, dying, and, like, shitting this stuff. Like,
Yep.
That's what it was before. So now it's like, you know, Matt's chilling, you know, he's still DJing, you know, and stuff like that. So
So you're both working on your solo careers right now.
yeah, I guess you could put
You,
it that
you
way.
signed
Yeah.
to 4 a.m.
Yeah, those guys
It's
are
a
my
good home base.
yeah, those are my family. Those people, they met me when I was just getting out of like all the, like a management deal, and all sorts of shit. So they're like family to me. Like they caught me at the end of the Solid Disco thing, and I was not in a good place at that time because that project, I just left my management. There was a little bit of you know, some drama with like a bunch of like basically sample clearances, all sorts of crazy shit. So like I met them and I was like, guys, like I need help. Like, and they took me in like a family. So I got, you know, I love y'all. Thank you guys, everybody at 4 a.m. Like I owe you.
Who's your favorite over there?
Favorite? I can't pick a favorite, man. Come on. How you gonna do me like that?
Madison's my favorite over there.
Madison's my favorite too.
Madison
Sure,
gets it
I'll
done.
give it to her. Yeah, she is. She's amazing. Everybody over there is amazing. And the cool thing about 4 a.m. is that like it's just good people. Like it's like we all go on vacation. We just went on vacation together. Like everybody hangs out. Like it's a squad, and like I feel like that's like what it should be. You know,
It should be a family.
it should be like that because we live and we work together.
Yeah, I see you
So-
do a lot of work with people that are on the label also. So.
Yeah. I produce a lot of music, so it's cool.
Good.
I've like since Solid Disco, one of the things that like really was tough was like putting stuff out without like clearance. Like, you know, for example, if we had a vocalist, we would have to sign off on that. If we had a label involved, they'd have to sign off. So it would be like 10 steps to put something out. Whereas now, like I just make shit and put it on SoundCloud, and it's like here it is, you know, and it gets plays, and everybody's, you know, I'm putting out like a remix a week basically now at this point, you know.
So how are you adjusting to like coming off tours and stuff like that to DJing hip hop in New York City?
I love hip hop. It's like a big part of me. I was a house producer because I didn't want to make hip hop, but I wanted to be, I wanted to DJ different parties too. Like in hip hop scene, unfortunately, like there's a very small window of like big DJs. Like it's not the same environment. Like you can make a great house record and be on tour, but like to make a great hip hop record, like you could still be in New York, like DJing in like weird venues in like Queens, like which is fine. Those guys are getting money, but it's just like, the house scene is so big. Like, and at the end of the day, hip hop's American, so like it wasn't out of, we toured all of Canada, we toured all of South America, or we did some South America, we did a lot of Mexico. So we saw like a lot, and I don't think a lot of hip hop guys, until they get really big, are able to like tour on like an international level like that, like off of like a few buzz records, because at the end of the day, I never radio hit, what I mean? So I guess the scene is a little different like that.
So doing records today, like you're saying, you're putting out a different type of hip hop record every week, like
just remixes in general,
and
not necessarily hip hop,
and then house music. Like there's really no money in that anymore, right?
There's no money in music in general and producing music unless you have like a hit. Like when we were putting out records on like a label, like we'd see payouts, but it was like less than you'd get paid at one show for like a quarter. So I mean, to spin it and stuff like that, like if you're on like a major label like that and you're getting like 10 million streams, 20 million streams a record, like you're gonna start seeing some sizable income every quarter. But like we weren't doing those kind of numbers. We were buzzing off the fact that like we were different, and that like worked. I think you can have like a 50 million hit EDM record and like not tour. But if you have like a 5 million hit record that's like so different and like unique, you'll be on the road.
That's how you're getting paid. It's with the gigs.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we made money on music. Don't get me wrong, but it was mostly commercial work. It was stuff like where people would use the songs for certain things, licensing and stuff. There's still big money in that. So I still get paid from licensing songs that I produced years ago, not even for Solid Disco, but for other people. And there's still like paychecks that come off that, which is cool.
So you're still in the studio though every day?
Every day, yeah. I live in that shit. If I don't like create stuff, I go crazy, man. Like I just get like bummed out and like weird, especially in the winter. Like you can't go outside, so what are you gonna do? I'm just gonna make music, And
you work and you got a nice schedule.
Yeah, thanks. Yourself. Yeah.
You working tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing PhD tonight. Should be cool.
What's your favorite room in New York City to play?
Let me think about this. For like the open format world, I would say I like DJing One Oak a lot because I get to play a lot of hip hop and I like playing hip hop. I just enjoy the experience. Like everywhere's cool as long as people are and like if it's popping, people are going crazy, I'm cool. Like whatever, I guess.
What's been your worst DJ experience ever?
In life?
Just in a gig. Worst gig ever.
Talking 13 years of DJing, man. I had some rough nights. Well, there was a night where we were playing a really big show. I don't remember where, but it was thousands of people. And the SD card formatted when we put it in. It was a Solid Disco show. Oh. And the card formatted. Matt looks at me, and he takes a card and just throws it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And like it was like a Webster Hall type deal, like where there's a lot of kids. And I look at him, he goes, fucking SD card. And he was like freaking out. So he puts in another one, format. And I'm like, yo. And we carried 3 of these shits because it happens. I don't know what causes it. I'm sure somebody in the comments will have an answer, and it'll probably close this like 5 years of anxiety. Yo. So then he's like, we put it in a different CDJ, and it worked. But it was like the one CDJ was formatting every card that went into it. Oh my God. It was somewhere crazy. I don't remember where it was because that happened before. But there was a time where we had one card left, and it was like put it in the other slot. Wow. Try that. And like when you put it in the third, like the different CDJ, you're like, please, because a little thing pops up and it's like the card is formatted and it's like, oh shit, like it was. Yeah, that was probably one of the more nerve-wracking ones. It's happened a few times, but we eventually carried like 3 or 4 cards because some of the CDJs like burned.
I'm sure
cards.
After that gig you carried a lot more than 3 cards.
Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 on us at any given time, and we carry the laptop sometimes for the big shows. So if it burned it, we would like pull it out and just like re-export and like go back.
Yeah.
So Record Box is sick, but that shit, no.
Wow. Well, it's awesome that you came down to play for us, man.
Thank you.
We could probably sit here and talk for another hour, but
yeah, for sure.
You have a gig to get to.
Yeah, I have to DJ tonight.
So we're gonna take a 2-minute break. We're gonna get D-Star up on the decks.
Okay, cool.
Peace.
Let's do it.